fairly swiftly. So I start this session by saying anything you've got questions on, I'm going to make sure there's time for questions. But also, secondly, if there are questions that we don't cover today, please reach out to me. I'm really happy to help. This is an important part of your journey in terms of thinking about next steps, and I want you to all feel that you get supported. So anything you don't get today, just reach out to me and I'll happily help. And that applies to the people on Teams as well. Hopefully you guys can hear me. If there's any questions, I know that Bex is going to keep them on, and we'll step in on Teams as well and wave at me. So to introduce myself, she says the presentation hasn't moved. Any idea? No, it doesn't need to be on slideshow. I'll start and we'll catch the presentation up. So the first bit is talking about starting to introduce myself anyway. So I think I could probably cope with that without slideshow. So my name's Lynsey. I am the recruitment director of Your Tech Future. We are part of a big organisation called Your Digital Future. So Your Digital Future specialises in marketing recruitment for those of you here on Teams that are in marketing, and I myself personally look after tech recruitment, so I deal with anything that falls under that umbrella. But I've got over 20 odd years, which always makes me feel old, 20 odd years in recruitment, and I've worked across many different sectors within that time. I've worked, across both students, getting you into work, right through to executive level. So, hopefully I can give you some information and some guidance about your next steps while I'm here today, and also some key takeaways, which I'm trying to kind of cover things that you might not be anywhere else, some tips about being in the market. So yes, I'm going to cover how you write a CV. Yes, I'm going to cover how you get to an interview. But what I'm going to try to do is do those a little bit differently, and then we're going to talk about more about LinkedIn, your personal brand, how you should go about starting to look for work, and maybe looking at it a little bit differently to the old cliche send a CV through an interview sort of scenario. So that's what I'm here to do today. Just to be as interactive as possible. No one wants to sit behind a table and just listen to me talk for an hour. I'm not precious. I understand that. Nor do people want to set teams. So I don't want to talk for an hour because it's not very comfortable being on this side of the desk either. So smiles, audience participation, involvement, all appreciated for me as well. So you do get involved and do just ask questions as we go along. So what we're going to cover today, so as I say, we're going to talk about your own personal brand and what that actually means, because a lot of you will be sort of thinking here, how does this tie in with recruitment, my personal brand? So we're going to talk about that and how we look at that from that perspective. We're going to talk about putting together a CV. We're going to talk about turning up at an interview, what to expect, how you perform. And then we're going to look at LinkedIn, which is an absolute goldmine now when it comes to searching for work. So we're going to look at how the other side looks, so how recruiters, how employers search, but also the little things that you stand you above others when it comes to LinkedIn. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT, which is not in my slides. I've gone rogue this morning, which is never a good sign, is it? But I think it's a really important topic to talk about with ChatGPT because it can be really useful. It can be very dangerous for your job search, but actually it's a really powerful tool that you can benefit from as well. So we're going to look at focus on positives of that. And then we're going to give you guys the opportunity to ask questions, cover anything that we haven't covered and do any questions at this stage. Great, okay. Fine. So she says for Delvin that it doesn't like me today. Every time I press this forward button, it doesn't like it. I need to move it on, sorry.
It did do it forward, that because I didn't get that one, so I don't know.
Is it because it's on it's not on a slideshow? No. So, what is personal brand? So I'm going to put this out to the floor. Who thinks they might know what personal brand is? It's not right or wrong. Who would like to try and have some input in terms of what is personal brand? Yeah.
It can be a reflection of your personality.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Really, really good point. Anyone else?
How you want to project yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that how you project yourself and how others see.
Yeah. Yeah. Super. I mean, interestingly, personal brand is whatever you want to make it. Ultimately, that is the point. It's the same as a brand name. It's the same as Coca-Cola. It's what you want it to be. It's you. It's you is personal. But I think what you have to remember is in this day and age, it's also the thing that people remember about you. It's the thing that you want people to know about you and the way you want to be perceived. So personal brand is becoming more important in everyday life, particularly in recruitment, job searching, careers. Because actually, the days of a brand as big, and this is controversial, I will say it, and it is controversial. The days of a Coca-Cola and people following a Coca-Cola are actually very limited these days. To get a brand name that is that recognisable and a logo that everybody goes, I want to be involved with that brand, is really difficult because people buy from people. And the same applies to your career search, the same applies to recruitment. People want to work with people. You don't send a CV in and they go, I know I'm going to hire that person on the CV. They make you come in, they make you meet them. And up to that point, likelihood is it will be solely on that meeting that they decide to hire you. So my point is personal brand is really important. The more you are working on your personal brand, the more you are getting your personal brand the better in terms of your recruitment and career future. Because actually, in a company, in a Coca-Cola, probably not a great example because Coca-Cola is a massive brand, but most people will know ChatGPT, that OpenAI own it, but they also know who founded it. And that's my point. Facebook, people know Mark Zuckerberg. People know what Mark Zuckerberg says. They know about his personal brand, they know what he puts out on Facebook. That's really, really important because people like him or they don't like him. Donald Trump, most people cannot say necessarily what party he stands for. You may be aware of that, but everyone knows who Donald Trump is. Everyone knows he wears a hat. Everyone knows whether you sit on the positive or the negative side of the fence. He can be a bit of a buffoon at times. He says things that get a reaction. That's Donald Trump's personal brand. I suspect behind closed doors, this might be a bad example, but he may not be as bad as he comes across sometimes in person. He's chosen to put a personal brand out there about himself. And that's really important because that's how he got hired into his post. That's how he made people select him. He got that emotional reaction from people because they either liked him or they didn't like him. So it's really important with personal brands from a career perspective that you think about what you're putting out and you consider yourself as a person and you empower yourself to have a voice and to put yourself out there on LinkedIn, etc. Because people will look at those things and people will find you as a brand. So, she says, you might need to flip one, sorry. It doesn't like you, it's like you. I feel like you're a lovely assistant. I'll just, next slide, please. So you're absolutely right in your descriptions. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's a very simplistic response, but that is ultimately people will make an opinion. You guys will probably after this say, go on my LinkedIn. You'll tell me I'm hypocrite, don't post on it enough, but you'll also go on there, you'll make an opinion of what I am like as a person. And that's the point, as people, think about what's said when you're around the room, think about what you're posting on LinkedIn, think about what you're posting on social media, and start from a career perspective, really think about what you put on social media because people do check it. So just a side note there. Okay. Audience participation, as I said, I don't want to stand here and talk because I'm afraid I'm going to drag you all in and get you involved. But I want you to think about how you want to be perceived from a professional perspective. So how do you think you want people to perceive you? And I'm talking about keywords. Now, I'll give you an example to get started. Do you want to be perceived as professional? Do you want to be perceived as friendly? I want you to think about 3 words that if you went into a company or you went into an interview, what do you think they would like to hear about? How would you like them to perceive you? Now, there should be a slide there, does it? It should be. No. Okay. Because we're in presentation mode, try and stop sharing. There should be a Slido on. I was really technically this morning and put a Slido on it for everyone on Teams, but it doesn't look like. If you press escape, it gets smaller. I'm sorry about this. So those on Teams, pop in the chat, 3 words that you would like to people to receive about you. And guys in here, who's brave enough to stick their hand up and give you their 3 words that they want people to perceive about them? Anyone? Otherwise, I'm going to pick on people. Who wrote down 3? Big hands up if you wrote down 3. God, people are brave this morning. You're doing lots of writing edge there, so I'm going to pick on you. Have you got one word?
I have competent.
Competent, great, love that.
Adaptability.
Brilliant.
The third one, I'm still thinking about it.
But I like that because you're going to go down the cliche, hardworking, team player. You've thought about how you want people to perceive. So I'll tell you how I perceive myself or how I want to be perceived. I want to be perceived as knowledgeable. I want people to think, she really knows her stuff in her area. I also want to be perceived as friendly, not scary, not intimidating, because that's just not my nature. I'm quite fun and standing up and doing a really serious talk. It's not my back. I also want to be known as that person that's reliable. I want people to know that if they're in a time of need when it comes to their career searches, they can come to me and ask support. So that's my 3 words. It's about how you're perceived, and that's a really important thing. So how to think about that. And the reason I say that is because that then resonates through your CV, how you conduct yourself in your interviews, how you present yourself on LinkedIn. So it's really worth thinking about your personal brand and how you want to be perceived. Has anyone wrote anything on routines? No? God, they're not very brave this morning. Okay, so yeah, have a little think about that because it is a really important thing. It starts the foundations. It's really hard when you start from the beginning, but that starts your foundations. Next slide, please. She says it's not going to work for you right now, is it? Okay, so we're going to talk about CVs. Does anyone know what that 6 seconds is about? Anyone? No?
Employees don't take an average of 6 seconds CV.
Bang on. The average person, employer or recruiter looks at CV for 6 seconds. And I want you to think about that because 6 seconds is not very long. And the reason I start with that is because the minute you think about that and you put yourself on the other side, you'll think about how you create your CV very differently. Actually, if you've got 6 seconds to make an impression on CV, that's not very long. Most of us have got a name and address and a personal profile, and that's 6 seconds gone. But because in a lot of situations, people will get a lot of CVs, lots of people will apply for jobs, they scroll down quickly and they'll wait for things that grab them. And if they don't grab them, they'll reject them. Now, yes, that is wrong. People get missed. But the reality is, it's very difficult to go through CVs in detail when you have so many. So I want you to think about that when you're constructing your CV for the first 6 seconds. First page, actually, in reality, is what that means. The first page is the most important thing. And you need to think about the things that you've got on that page. So, there are some things I'll touch on here, but as I say, some of these are hopefully to you things that you're, don't worry, I'll talk about it. I know that's small. I just told you it wasn't small. And then look, some of these things are things I'm going to talk about. But other things I'm hoping that when you have employability sessions with the teams here, they probably talk to you about. So, some of these things I will whistle through, some I will talk in a bit more detail. If you need me to drill down, obviously at the end, just ask questions or put your hands up now. So structure. This is actually really important. I think there is this sort of piece where people feel that they need to make them a bit different to stand out, make them a different layout, put pretty colours on them, put a photograph, put something, a line about them, etc. We're told to stand out, but then we do those things and then we're told not to. It's a bit of a cliche thing, but the reality is a really good structure can look the same for all of you as long as what is in that content is relevant to you. So ChatGPT is really good for CVs because we all struggle to talk about ourselves. I struggle to talk about myself even now, and I tell everyone to do it. So, from a structure point of view, if you know what the things you want to say, personal profile, etc., but you don't have shape it, go to ChatGPT. Now, I'm not saying ask ChatGPT to write it for you, because obviously that would be ill-advised and be stood here. But if you've got a few things, you just chose your 3 words. Put your 3 words in and say, these are the things that I want to come across about me, and I want them to come across in a personal summary of my CV. Can you construct me something? And it will do your job, actually. There will be things in there you don't like, there will be things in there it doesn't include, but that's the great thing with ChatGPT, is you can then go back and go, do you know what, that sentence is great, but this one, not really me, and I feel like it hasn't got this across, or it's a bit professional, I'd like it a bit warmer, I'd like to come across a bit more friendly. It's okay to use ChatGPT in that way, as long as you're not just literally going into it and going, I need a profile summary for my CV, please write it. Ultimately what you get is the same one that everyone else has put onto the internet, and that then is an individual to you. But that's where those 3 words, and I will draw back to them again, that's where those 3 words are really relevant, because you can just keep putting them into ChatGPT and asking it to think about that and coming up with things for you. So, contact details. We all love to fill a page with address, telephone number, nationality, etc. You don't need any of that on a CV anymore. An email address and telephone number is enough. In this day and age, it's very rare someone writes you a letter and sends it through post. Don't know, it's my junk email, junk post, so it goes straight in the bin. So, you take the address out, it takes quite a lot of space up, keep it really clear and really, really easy to read. Profile summary, we've just touched on it, get that profile summary in. It doesn't have to be War and Peace, 3 sentences, absolutely adequate. Do put in there the sorts of roles you're looking for, because I say to people, when you come out of education, it might be that you've done a degree, but you have no work experience in the relevant area that you want to go into. If you put in your profile summary, I've just come out of my studies, I've just graduated with a law degree, and I want to go into being a solicitor or a lawyer. It's not the most grammatically well put, but you know what I mean. If you put that, even if you don't have the work experience, they will look on at your CV. Whereas if you don't put that, and the first page does not have your education history and you haven't got your degree on there, they're probably going to look at your CV and go, why have they applied? Why do they want to get into law? Because there's no apparent reason why. So do think about that in the profile summary, do include that as well. Experience, for some of you, you may have relevant experience. Fantastic, that makes your life a lot easier, of course it does. But for those of you that don't, and the employment history that you have is relevant and has transferable skills and it's valuable. So from an experience perspective, do put that experience in, but when you put your bullet points, I would always recommend bullet points over paragraphs. When you put bullet points in, think about the transferability of them. So, from I don't know, I'll use retail, for example, and say, you've got a law degree, you want to go into law. One of the great things about retail is you get fantastic communication skills. You also get really good at coping under pressure, because, you never know what you're going to get. You don't know who's to walk through your door, what they're going to say, whether they're happy, whether they're sad. You are partially involved in that responsibility. So, there's some really important things that even from a customer service or a retail role are relevant to a specific degree. Education, for most of you, your education is going to be the most important thing. So I would always get your education on the front page. Profile summary, education, history. Key skills should be on that as well. But do get your education high, because I'm using law, by the way, but if you've got a law degree, then actually that's the first thing you want them to see. If you're going into the law, it's like, I've got a law degree, shout about it, right? You've got lots of work experience, you will have covered loads of modules in your law degree or your computer science degree or your marketing degree. Think about that and put some of the modules down if they're relevant to the company. List your modules, because actually that's a really relevant way of filling your CV, but it also shows the strength that you have in the area you're trying to get into. So do absolutely think about that. Keep it clear and concise. People love long CVs when they write CV, and it's really we don't know what we should get on and what we shouldn't, and so we put everything on it. And before you know it, CV will become 5 pages. And I've just told you that everyone looks at it for 6 seconds. So, that last 3 pages, no one's ever going to look at. So my advice is keep it to 2 pages. If you've got loads of work, and if you've got a CV that you think, oh my goodness, it's 5 pages long, I've got work experience, I've got education, I've got lots of really relevant things. ChatGPT is your friend. Obviously, don't put any personal information in, but put in your overviews of companies and say, I need to shorten this, I need to make it a bit cleaner, a bit more concise. It will help you with that. And that's the great thing. It's a tool to help you improve what you're doing. So do think about that and use it from that respect. Tailoring each job. Avoid overused cliches. That's what I was talking about earlier. Team player, hard worker. Those are things that everyone will reel off. It doesn't make you and your personal brand any different to anybody else. So just think about things that perhaps they're a little bit different. Next slide, please. Okay. So I said I'm going to whistle through some of these. So you are going to want to probably ask me questions at the end. Mastering interviews. I want to see people put their hands up if they feel they're good at interviews. Hoping that people there don't mean that someone on Teams thought they're really good at interviews because they probably do the wrong thing. But, none of us probably think we're very good at interviews. But what if I said to you that an interview isn't about you selling yourself? An interview is about finding out if the company's right for you. Because it's one of the first preconceptions is that we get ourselves so worked up about it. We go into that interview going, what if I don't what if I fumble my words? What if I don't answer that question right? Most employers don't go into an interview wanting you to fail. They need to hire, they want to find someone. But also, you're not to work for every company. Not every company is going to align with you and your values and your personal brand. It's important that you think about what you want. And when you go to an interview, you turn it on your head and you think about the fact you're going in to see whether it's right for you, makes life an awful lot easier because you're suddenly not thinking and overthinking your words. And we're all really good at that. I know I interview people day in, day out, put me on the other side of the table, I'm absolutely dreadful, imposter syndrome, think I'm not good at anything. It doesn't matter at all to it. But employers make accommodations for that. So, nerves is healthy. I would say to someone, if you go to an interview and go, I'm really sorry if I bumble a bit. I know I bumble when I'm nervous, I'm really nervous. But I'm nervous because I really want this job. I challenge any employer to then go, well, I'm not going to take long because of their nerves. They're going to go, great, they're here. They want to learn. They want to work for this company. I'm going to make allowances. So don't think about it from oh my goodness, I'm walking in, I've got an hour to prove myself, I've got an hour to show them who I am. Take it as I'm going in, I'm going to be me. And if I'm me, and my personal brand, and me as an individual is right, they'll employ me. But if I'm not, it wasn't right for me either. So I think that's something really important for people, go with a different attitude and a different approach. And we live in a world where now most interviews are on Teams. So, from that respect, which should be on the next slide, from that respect, it is really hard. You sit on a Teams call for an interview, and how on earth do you do the same body language? It's not the same as a handshake, is it? It's not the same as walking in with a big smile on your face, and you can tell. Of course you can, but it's harder. It's just the reality of it. So, if you're going into a Teams interview, just think about that and think about the fact that it's about breaking the ice on Teams interview. If you're going in and you're going, I'm really nervous, normally that'll give them a giggle. The minute you start to have a bit of a laugh with them, it flows a lot easier. But also, don't be afraid on Teams to have, and some people will tell you not to do this, my view is you should. On Teams, you put notes, post-it notes, fill your post-it notes, big capital letters, keywords, give yourself opportunities to succeed. And if you know you get into an interview and you find your words, and you forget everything you want to, we come out and we go, oh, I should have said that. Everyone I ever take feedback from goes, I forgot to say that. It's natural, we're nervous. It's not a great way to perform. So chuck keywords, chuck post-it notes, put pretty coloured post-it notes everywhere, put flower post-it notes, put anything you like, because ultimately the only person that sees that is you. But do think about that. The other thing I would say to you, you want to make sure your setting is right for a Teams interview. You can look background, put some great filters on if you're nervous about where you look. Do dress yourself to match the employer on a Teams call. So no, don't sit there in your pajamas. Most people wouldn't. You don't need to sit there in a suit and tie either for most businesses. Unless you're going to be a lawyer, that might be slightly different, but you know, make yourself as comfortable as possible. In terms of sort of questions, in terms of that, the STAR technique is really, really valuable to you, and it will make you look at things in a very different way. And I think I've got a slide in this in a minute. But, you know, most of us, the first time we're asked a question, our brains go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we automatically talk at the same time as that. I do. I think we all do. So, you know, from that respect, give yourself a bit of a breather. Take a step back. Go through the STAR technique. And that is something which I will touch on briefly in the next slide, but you can also Google what it will do, or ask ChatGPT, as you can tell, it's going to be rooted throughout. It's my favourite tool, I live on it. But you know, if you look at STAR technique, it tells you how to structure questions and answers. And that's a really good way, because hopefully then it gives you an opportunity to think about how you would present and answer specific questions. When it comes to interview questions, ChatGPT, whichever way you decide, you know, whether it's Claude, whatever you use, whichever side of the bench you sit on with that, it's a great tool. None of us want to sit in front of our mates. You know, if I said to you now, I said, we're going to do a mock interview in front of all of these people, you'd go, oh my God, don't do it to me. ChatGPT, sit in the bedroom, sit, ask ChatGPT, I need to do a mock interview, ChatGPT, help me out, throw some questions at me. Practice it using that, because the more practice you get for an interview, the easier it becomes. It will present you the questions you will get asked in a real interview, so you'll already know that you know the answers, which makes it a lot easier when you go to an interview. But also, you won't feel that judgment, and taking that judgment away from things on a mock practice interview makes your life easier when you go to the real thing. You know, if I what's your strength and weakness, probably one of the particularly the weaknesses, the question that I'm most confident about. Because ChatGPT and I love having a chat about it. You know, ChatGPT now tells me what my weaknesses are, which is quite frightening. But you know, from that respect, ask it, what's my weaknesses? What do you think about me? What am I likely to do wrong in an interview based on what you know me, what you know about me? If you use ChatGPT a lot, it will tell you something. Actually, scary side note, if you ask ChatGPT what it thinks of you and who it thinks you are as a person, it will give you an answer. If you use it, and it is scary accurate. So if you do anything today, take that away and Google it or ChatGPT it. So yeah, so just think about those things. Make your life as easy as possible in an interview, whether it's in person or in over Teams. Take a step back, flip reverse it, think about you first and what you want. So I'm going to give you a bit of an activity now, because as I just said, I want to get you involved. Most of you are sat in groups. You might need to move a few of you together, but I want you to, you know, try to team up in twos if possible. I think that will make 3 of you. No, it will be 2s. I want you to sit and tell each other about yourself, but from a professional perspective and thinking about your 3 words. You're not going to get judged on it. I'm not going to ask any of you to come up. I think it's a really important activity, because actually you will start to talk about it. So we've got 2s here. Do you want to pair up? Any preference? But if you want to take yourself and sit with someone and vice versa, I think it would be a really good activity for just a minute. Just talk to the person next to you. No one else can hear it. I'm not going to judge you. But just sit and talk to a person and tell them about yourself in 2 minutes, about who you are as a person if you were to go to an interview. I'm really interested to hear, flip the message, think about what you want to come across in terms of your personal brand. Think about those 3 words. So where do you want to go? Do you want to go that way? You guys happy with that? Do you want to be here and sit?
So I know you said this that. So what made you do it?
I do accounting and finance.
Accounting and finance. I'm a supply chain manager.
Oh, nice. Wait, the master. Oh, yeah. On the guns.
Not a chance though.
What do you do on the guns?
I do business administration.
Yeah, so, awesome.
I'm everywhere.
For shit. Okay, how about we, let's look at the scenario. So, what is your entry level job?
So I'm work experience in insurance. I recently did a asset management simulation where I came second, so I did enjoy that. I enjoyed the investment aspect. So possibly asset management, or some sort of insurance-based job.
Yeah, that's the insurance.
Ways.
Yeah, I have some experience in retail. I work at PepsiCo. I was a regional. So I worked on customer service, something like that. Okay, so you can do that. Like this.
There's too much pressure. Like if I just it's not you try yourself, like just you try to understand that's good. Yeah,
Never turn out.
you always had to know.
Oh, I don't like much.
Yeah.
Attention speaks down.
Yeah. That's annoying. Yes.
Yeah, those.
Well, so I think that's I was absolutely shitting myself. They asked like if you're stuck.
That's a judgment.
Yeah.
If we were to
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's like
Should you, like, should we use like these stocks and
use it as a signal.
just
Just like remember, it's not really actually about what it says. It's about ability to learn. So it's not really. You don't talk about it's just getting that.
yeah, that's yeah. Most of that, it's really good.
Sorry, you know what? Sorry. I think that's what I said. Yes, it's not going to say. So,
that's crazy, like, if you do a link that chart, I'd be actually,
Yes.
and then you have.
yeah. Yeah. I think
Based on this.
that's
I think I was thinking about it past that.
I don't need that. Yeah.
But tell me more about your job.
Yeah, so I spent 2 weeks. And then I spent.
You're all talking, I'm loving it. I thought more of you might have sat there a little bit like. You know, even though you potentially didn't know each other, I'm guessing you didn't know each other or. I love that. You talked really freely. My point is not about what you talked about, actually. It was just putting you out of your comfort zone. And you all handled it. If you can handle that, you all can handle an interview because that's the worst bit. The worst bit is walking through that door or walking up to that person that you didn't know and go, wow, and you all did it. And we talked about over here, didn't we? Not everyone's going to be confident. We're all human beings. We don't all want to be the same. It would be really boring. And again, my point around personal branding, we all want to be different. So that's great. You've done the worst part there. So just bear that in mind when you go into an interview. So I'm really briefly going to touch on something because I just feel like there are so many tools these days, but also, you can delve into this more if you were to go, for example. So I'm not going to take too much time there. But STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. You can shape most of your answers to questions using STAR. And once you use that format, it will become a lot easier for you in terms of those moments where you go. So, if you guys use situation, task, action, result, which means you talk about situation, you talk about what you've done, talk about an outcome, how you take that back. You talk about what you did, and then you talk about what the outcome of you doing that was. And if you use that as a method for your interview questions, that awkwardness will become a lot easier because you've got structure. So I'm not going to bore you with talking about it now. Google it, ChatGPT it, Google it, whatever you want. But, STAR is a really valuable tool, and most questions, I can sit here and talk to you for an hour about different interview questions, but the reality is pretty dull. But if you look up this online, it will apply to almost every question you get asked, and it makes every question easier. So look at STAR, that's my advice, and do look at that in terms of shaping questions. Can I do it myself? Of course you can. What questions should you ask? This is my pet home. What questions should you ask? How many got into a meeting, got 2 interviews for university, and they go, have you got any other questions? No, I think I'm all right. That's what we all do. No, I think I'm all right. And we all depart. Great, we didn't ask any questions. We didn't know what to ask, so it's just easier to say, I think I'm all right. Questions where you're interested. Absolutely sure. You want to know more about business and more about the role. Questions are really, really important. I can tell you categorically that you could have an amazing question, but with an employer, if you ask a question at the end, they may well, I'm not saying they always will, but they may well judge you against that. So it is worth thinking about questions. Now, it's a difficult one with questions because then you kind of can go through a cliche, you can Google, it will give you the same ones. What training and development is there in this job? Everyone asks it, and it's really obvious you just Googled it. So, thinking about questions that are relevant to the company, or to the role, or to about something that's important for you. And I'm bringing it back to your personal brand and what is important to you. So values and culture are really important. I can imagine to you, work for a company that tells you you'll be in at 8 and you won't be until 6, you need to sit at your desk and you need to report every time you go to the toilet. I'm pretty sure none of you want to work for that sort of business. What do you know about the employer at this point in the interview? It's normally towards the end. Have they given you that information? Have you decided that they are someone you want to work for? Because if they're not, there's some really valuable questions you can hear, that you can ask here. I'm really interested in your values as a business. Tell me more about who you are as a company. If I was to go to one of your employees, what would they say about business? In the minute you put those questions out there, they go, oh, that was good. That was really good. That's not what I've heard before. And that's a really positive thing. But actually, there are really simplistic questions like that you can ask, that you can have in your toolbox for any interview. If you go to an employer, I don't know, say you're coming to the interview for an interview at Leicester University, and you go, I'm really interested in as a university what your values are. They'll know. I'm tempted to put Bex on the spot at this point, but I'll not be that big. But you know, from an employer point of view, they will know. They know what their values are, but they'll be really impressed that you asked that question. Go to BT, go to Coca-Cola. Go and ask my mate Donald Trump. I don't know if he's come into the presentation a little bit too much already. If you ask him, he'll be able to tell you what him and his party's values are. You can ask anybody. Just give me one there. If you all take this away, trust me, guys, the same company's pretty slim. Use it because it's really valuable. Have you learned enough about the role to be confident the role is for you? You know, from a question perspective, can you tell me more about the team? Simplistic. Can you tell me more about where you approach a project, if it's a project role? I'm really interested in what disciplines of law you work in. I'm really interested in terms of systems you use in business. All of these questions aren't hard, but they will present an answer from that employer that shows that is very useful for you, but also is they'll look at you and go, yeah, that was a good question. Because you haven't gone down the cliche route of how much holiday do I get? How much money do I get paid? And that's the thing. Try and avoid those questions. Try and come up with something a bit different. By the way, I'm giving you simplistic ones, but if you can ask a complex question, you know, if you're computer science, you want to ask a question on coding languages, tell me what it means. You know, this is about you asking questions that's relevant to you. But also do bear in mind that if you ask questions, it looks like you're interested. Right, LinkedIn. Hands up then. Who's on LinkedIn? Well, that's a reassuring start, I'm not going to lie. If you don't put your hands up, this would have been a really difficult next slot, but you know, that is good. That's the first hurdle. If you're not on LinkedIn, I would encourage you to be on LinkedIn. It is your superpower when it comes to job searching. I can hand on heart say to you that most job boards, and I take away the fact that you know you have got job boards here that are really good and relevant for graduates, so I'm not putting that in there. But most of the generalist job boards peak and trough in terms of how good they are. So one day you're going to see someone and you'll go, what's the best job board, Lynsey? And I'll go, Indeed, it's great, everything's on Indeed. The next thing you'll come to me and go, what's the job board, Lynsey? I'll go, probably don't charge what we read. They flip. You know, they do promotional marketing throughout the year, one will be better at different times. So my point of saying that is they're always changing. But LinkedIn is consistently now a really powerful tool for job searching. It is your digital CV. It's an opportunity to put on more about you than one piece of paper where it gets 6 seconds. Because I can absolutely guarantee to you that someone that looks at your profile will scroll down. So about your LinkedIn profile. A lot of us sign up to LinkedIn, go, yeah, I'm on it, great, I'm on it, I'll like a few people, I'll connect with a few friends, and never do anything else. If you get a picture, you fill out your profile, believe me, this day and age, LinkedIn love telling you what you haven't done on it, so, you know, they will prompt you, but if you fill it out and have a baseline profile, and you can use your CV, you know, there's a profile summary, copy and paste your profile summary from CV, employment history, copy and paste your employment history. It's a really powerful tool that people can go and look for you. And as a recruiter, 80% of my job bills are because I headhunted someone on LinkedIn. And boys are using that as well. And I think that's really important, you know, and actually from your perspective, a dream. You upload your profile, someone approaches you. You don't have to apply for things, you don't have to trawl LinkedIn or don't have to trawl Indeed for hours on end, thinking this is I want to be out with my mates. LinkedIn, they come to you, brilliant. Upload your profile. You know, it's really valuable from that perspective because actually people can see you, people can see your degree, and they want to approach you. So think about that. 80%. I barely use a job board. I barely advertise a job. I don't make any placements from a job board. I'm purely on it from a branding perspective, so that people can see the business. So do think about LinkedIn. You're not on, I actively encourage you for those on teams. I actively encourage you to get on it. Go through the tool on LinkedIn that tells you what you should update on it. Could you skip on one? There's also a few key things here. I will go through these because I've made them quite small. Picture. I don't think it's no picture on LinkedIn, but I instantly move on. So if I'm moving on, every employer is moving on. So do think about putting a picture. Don't put one with you to getting out your tongue, putting a funny face, although I would quite like that. But you know, don't do that. Think about who you're trying to attract, but do get a picture on there. And there's a headline, which is a cover photo. You know, I always encourage you to think about that as well. You know, if you were on a computer science, you'll see mine's got my background in the business, you know, our logo, etc. But prior to that, have a really funky picture of brain and all the things that, you know, all the coding languages, because it shows that I'm a techie. So that coding, the cover photos or that background headline picture is a great opportunity for you to, again, reiterate what you're about. So think about that. Strong summary, you know, that side of things, probably a given, but do think about strong summary. Connect and engage with industry professionals. People love connecting on LinkedIn. It's great. Reach out to them, you know. I'm sure your lecturers will connect to you, and by connecting with someone, it then opens their connections to you, and you build your network. The more connections you have, the more people that can see you, more people that can approach you for work. Connect, you know, for those of you in the tech space are probably really handy, but you know, connecting with me, career coaches will then be a connection, and you will then get more people see your profile. So it's a bit like prizes on LinkedIn, but it genuinely does if you have built out the connections. Engaging. The LinkedIn algorithms are a little bit of a mystery. They change them every week. They go, people are doing this. We'll throw it up in the air and change it. Let's do something different. Let's use people's visibility. Let's make them work for their LinkedIn profile. But with people by commenting about that's a really interesting article, I'm really interested in your take on this, or really insightful information, or a share, or a post of your own. You know, you've learned an awful lot through your degrees. You can post about, you know, your thought process, either through your experiences in university, but also about your studies. By doing that and engaging, you will show up a lot on LinkedIn for people that are looking to employ individuals. You also come across a thought leader. It's all about your personal brand. LinkedIn is the perfect place for your personal brand. I'm not saying it's your personal brand because that's not. You as a person is your personal brand, but LinkedIn is probably the one place most personal brand. Use LinkedIn job search. Hands up, how many of you have used a job search on LinkedIn? Great, fantastic. Interesting tip for you though. When an employer advertises a job on LinkedIn, they get hundreds of applications. How do they find you amongst that noise? Because I know right now I've got a job out on LinkedIn and I can probably tell you I've sat there with 300 applications. I've scrolled through them. Unless someone catches my eye with their little headline, I'm probably not going to get to it. But if you read then, next step, go onto LinkedIn and find a connection that's relevant, department head, HR. You reach out to them and say, I've applied for this job through LinkedIn, but I'm really, really interested and I wanted to reach out to you personally. Damn, you've just gone ahead of all of those people. So think about that, it's a really powerful tool. You know, gone are the days when some of you won't know this, but when we go through yellow pages and we flip for category, you know, retail and find a shop. It's such a powerful tool, so utilise it. And it's a setting which says open to work will be close to time. We're out of time. Yeah. So I'll wrap this up really quickly. I won't do the demo stuff, but I will say, so there's a setting that says you're available to work. Do click that. Have a look at the profile and see what it's like. I've put Alistair Banks here. Alistair Banks is one of our business partners, but he's an absolute LinkedIn guru. He posts out loads of tips on LinkedIn, but he's also got a great profile. So have a look at him, use some tips from there. Yeah. So there is a whole chunk that I have not covered, but I will get. We've done these over, so we'll have a look at them. There is a whole piece on the hidden job market networking, which we've touched on, but there is a lot more there, which I will also send over, and there's some takeaways from the presentation, which you might just be able to make way to. But it's brand, there's lots of job searching. When we get to the presentation, there will be things that we haven't covered. Reach out to me. I'm really happy to answer any questions. I'm really happy to support, but I'm really happy to also kind of give you any tips and information I can offer you. Do you want to put some contact details? Yeah. As I said, Bex will send this out to everyone. I'm really sorry I can't talk and I did let you do on the activity. So reach out to me if you need any advice. Really happy to look at CVs, pretty CVs. Really happy to look at your LinkedIn profile. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry that we ran out of time. I'm not going to choose to ask questions. If we get out to the call and anyone wants to speak to me and ask me questions, just call me. I'll go straight away. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.